My friends, how are you? It is absolutely fantastic to see you for yet another video, and I hope you're all doing well out there as well as you can before, once again, I show up every day to deliver the bad news of what's going on to the working class in America, but hell, sometimes I try to do it in a funny way, so, excuse me, at least while we're all going through it, we can kind of laugh about what's going on. And that's what we're going to do today, because my friends, today is a very interesting video because it is the return of Jostradamus. That's right, me, the guy that made all the predictions about how Donald Trump's presidency was going to collapse the supply chain in America, starting with the trucking industry, of course, the warehousing. What am I saying? The whole entire supply chain is coming down, and it doesn't matter exactly where it started, except we need to know that mostly it started with Donald Trump and his bullshit policies, his Liberation Day tariffs, where he tried to strong-arm the entire world into doing God knows what because we didn't even know what he wanted. And that was the first sign that everything was about to come down. And then, of course, now that Donald Trump has engaged in a let me try to say that again, in an illegal war with Iran that he has lost many, many times over and continues to lose on a daily basis. And the reason I'm allowed to say that is because most people, most reasonable people out there would say, well, you can only win or lose a war once. But according to Donald Trump, he has completely destroyed Iran's military at least 76 other times. And I don't see why, if he can do that, then we can't point out that he has lost the war over and over, my friends. But for those of you that have been with me for a while, you know that I started calling this right after Donald Trump was elected, saying that once Donald Trump is back in office, I was concerned with the trucking industry that I work in, that I live in every day of my life, and how it was going to be affected negatively by Donald Trump. And of course, I worried about the entire economy, right? And I did that for a couple of reasons, my friends, or let me say this a little better. I was able to do that for a couple of reasons, and those reasons are really, really quite simple. As a working class American, I like, you know, having my livelihood. I think it's a really cool thing when not only me, but all of us can go out there and pay our bills and feed ourselves and, you know, every once in a while maybe afford a little vacation, have some nice things every once in a while. To me, as a working class American, that really fucking matters. And every time I watch a bullshit Republican get in control in this country and fuck everything up, you have to understand that it greatly offends me. It really bothers me a great deal when I have to watch the same cycle over and over. But also, I was able to predict this because I was here for Donald Trump's first term when he completely sank the American economy through his denial of COVID and all his other bullshit too. He had some tariffs going on there. We were already starting to experience a supply chain crash as far as transportation and manufacturing in America, even before Donald Trump botched COVID. And because of that, I was able to identify that if Donald Trump was ever in power again, we were going to be fucked in every way possible. And I was able to do that, my friends, because MAGA is not going to believe this. I hope MAGA is sitting down. Get up off your cousin for a second, MAGA. I'm going to tell you something. I don't believe in loyalty to one man. I don't believe that me giving up my livelihood for the betterment of a rich con artist from New York City is in my best interest or anyone's best interest, right? And because I never had loyalty to well, any man, or Donald Trump for that matter, it was really easy for me to call out the bullshit the minute that it started fucking happening and saying, here we go again, and we're going to have to deal with this shit one more time, right? Which is shocking because that's not something that MAGA understands. You have to understand, you guys have seen it, right? When you talk to MAGA, they think that we are like them. I frequently get a lot of people that try to argue with me, and MAGA's not very smart. They're not really intelligent people, and a lot of their arguments are complete bullshit, right? One of the ones I frequently get, just as a side tangent, is they go, cut your fucking hair, hippie. You need to chill the fuck out, dork. I spent at least 4 years growing this shit out of my own head, and there's no way I'm going to cut it off of my head now because some cousin fucker on the internet said I should cut it off. And that's part of the problem with MAGA, is they have no follow through on anything. They don't know what it's like to spend years doing anything whatsoever because all they do is give up constantly, and that's how we end up with them being the massive underachievers that they are and blaming a Mexican every time they get the fucking chance to do that. They don't understand that shit, right? But one of the bullshit arguments that I frequently get from the MAGA movement is they will refer to like Joe Biden as my God or my daddy or something like that, because they are very much in a cult, right? And that's the way their brains fucking work, is they think that what am I trying to say? Because they worship Donald Trump, because everything Donald Trump says is the gospel according to them, then they believe that every one of us operate on that same wavelength, and that if we are to vote Democrat, it means we now worship Joe Biden, or Joe Biden's our God, or Joe Biden is our daddy, which I find to be a very shocking claim that they're making, because it turns out that I don't own a Joe Biden hat. I don't own a Joe Biden t-shirt. I don't own a Joe Biden bumper sticker. I don't own Joe Biden cologne. I don't own a Joe Biden watch. I don't own a Joe Biden cell phone. And I certainly don't own a Joe Biden meme coin. So I fail to understand how I, in their eyes, am acting like them. As a matter of fact, the only people that I've ever seen wear Joe Biden merchandise are MAGA. Now, granted, it may say fuck Joe Biden on it, but they are still wearing Joe Biden merchandise when they step out of their fucking houses. And I don't know if you've noticed, my friends, I'm not real big on logos. It's normally a plain white t-shirt or a plain black t-shirt. And I'm starting to learn as I go that I should lean more towards the black, because my job gets a little bit dirty sometimes. And then some cousin fucking MAGA that's never seen a real working man in their life shows up on my videos and sees that my white shirt got a little bit of stain on it, and see that I got this gorgeous long hair, and they start talking about how filthy I am, because those lazy bastards don't know what it's like to go out and work for a fucking living. So I might lean more towards more black shirts, is what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to tell you on top of that is that I can't imagine, what am I trying to tell you on top of that? Oh yeah, I can't imagine a man living in my head rent-free so badly that I go out and buy shirts that have his name on them. They hated Joe Biden so much that they put Joe Biden's name on their fucking bodies. Isn't that goofy? And anyways, I know I'm taking 7 minutes to get to the fucking point, but I don't care anymore. And I don't say that to be a dick. You have to understand, I'm getting overrun with the assholes again. They are like, why won't you fucking get to the point, or make your video shorter, or all of that? And my only advice is go to fucking TikTok or look at YouTube Shorts, instead of asking a long-form content creator to change their whole formula for you, you fucking brat. Go find the content that you like. How about that? The point that I'm trying to get to today, I had to toot my own horn because I'm in this truck all by myself and no one's here to toot the fucking thing for me, is we've got more massive problems in America's supply chain today. As we are looking at multiple fucking layoffs, and more proof of the supply chain crash that is happening right in front of our eyes here in the United States. And that's what the fuck we're going to talk about today. Real quick, before we jump into all of that, the meat and potatoes of it, if you will, I just want to take a few minutes, like I always do, to take time out of this video and say thank you to you guys for everything that you do. Every bit of it helps, and I appreciate your support to the channel, from watching the videos, leaving a like, leaving a comment, subscribing to the channel, and sharing the videos out to your social media. I appreciate you so much. Excuse me. That is a massive deal for the YouTube algorithm, and we're trying to reach more fucking people out there. So thank you guys for everything you do. The super chats, the super thanks, the channel memberships, I appreciate the support in that way also very much. And the best way to support me, if you would like to do so, is the Buy Me a Coffee link that you can find in the description and pinned comment of every video. If you do make a donation there, they only take 5%, which means 95% goes to me instead of a greedy corporation, and that's better, I think. I don't really know. But anyways, I like to say thank you guys instead of looking for advertisers or any bullshit like that. It's better to have a channel that is just grown by the community than to have any sort of corporate interest invested in it. So thank you guys for everything you do to support the channel. Excuse me. As you can see, I've been working a lot on my breathing exercises. Sometimes I stop to catch my breath, which I'm not real good at. I just get in these videos and start going fucking hyperspeed on you guys. And then sometimes I forget to breathe and I have to have a second to cough. So I hope you'll forgive me as I continue to work through that. So we've got a big deal going on right now. More information came out from FreightWaves, and the article will be probably in the description. I'll put an article in the description where FreightWaves has come out and said that we are seeing more massive fucking layoffs in the supply chain right now. It's all starting to come down very rapidly. We've got 21 companies. If you can see me looking down today, I actually took notes, which isn't something I do very often, but I wanted to make sure I listed the companies. at least some of them, that are experiencing massive layoffs. But so we've got 21 companies across 15 states right now that are announcing, that are all part of the supply chain, by the way, that are announcing either closures, bankruptcies, reductions in workforces, any fucking number of things that is resulting in another 7,000 jobs leaving the United States economy. Now, before I get into these the companies, we need to fucking think about that. Remember, just last month the economy was like projected to gain something like 70 or 80,000 jobs, and it ended up being a loss of 23,000, if I remember correctly. And that is even before the revision. So when that gets revised down, I'm sure that's what's going to happen. We may see that last month was a loss of 50,000 jobs, 80,000 jobs. We really don't fucking know. But now, in the here and now, we are seeing even more jobs continue to collapse. And you have to understand, America is a shithole right now. This is all really fucking bad. I'll get to these companies in a minute and we'll talk about that. But I really want to talk about why we're getting there, what's going on, right? Of course, we know the Liberation Day tariffs. I don't have to go off on that yet again. We all were there. We all experienced it. And the war that's going on, of course, that's a big fucking deal. Excuse me. There's a lot of uncertainty right now with the trade war that Donald Trump is trying to start with Canada yet again. And what we need to understand, what a bunch of inbred cousin fucking Americans need to understand, is that Canada is a massive, massive partner of the United States. So is Mexico. I don't do a lot of videos on Mexico because there's just not a lot that comes up like this, which is honestly shocking to me. Do you guys ever think about that? I figured with Donald Trump being as racist as he is, that his if he was going to attack one of our neighboring countries, I thought it was going to be Mexico, if I'm being honest with you. But ever since both Melania and Ivanka both expressed that they wanted to fuck Justin Trudeau, it's been on with Canada. It's been a really big fucking deal. But this on again, off again trade war that we got going on with Canada again, with the potential for 50% tariffs, doesn't leave any room for a supply chain to really fucking move. Now, does it? Because nobody knows. As far as I know, there's not a deal yet. There was supposed to be a deal by yesterday or the day before, and then Donald Trump tacoed again, and then there's the 3-day extension. I'm shocked he didn't say 2 weeks, because if you guys don't know, when Donald Trump says 2 weeks, that means he's never gonna fucking do it. But that's obviously creating a ton of uncertainty. You know, so we got the tariffs, the war, the new trade wars igniting with Canada. And did you guys hear today, this is really fucking bad, it's getting real scary out here, that now the national debt has crossed $40 trillion. I'm not really an expert on national debt, and I considered this morning maybe doing an entire video on that, but I bet there's a lot of people smarter than me that understand that certain topic more than I do, that are covering that thing. But what I do know is the national debt has climbed to the highest rate in fucking history, right? At $40 trillion. And I want to be honest with you for a second. I was getting pissed off at CNN this morning. I mean, sometimes I listen to the mainstream media to try to like navigate the different stories and what's going on. And they were certainly hammering Donald Trump on this massive debt. Of course they were. But then they would backtrack every time and say, well, but don't get me wrong, Democrats raised the debt too. And look, that to a point, that's true. Like, our country runs on debt a lot of time. That makes perfect sense. But under Donald Trump, in his 6 years that he's been president, his presidency alone is responsible for something like 30% of the national debt. At $40 trillion, it ended up being something like, if I remember the correct percentage, the percentage might be a little bit off, but something like 123% of our GDP, which means this country is completely fucking upside down right now. And while we have spent all our money and then some, while we can't even afford the interest on the national debt anymore, Donald Trump is still heavily engaged in his war. Not engaged in it, he's having other people die and starve on his behalf. He's out there talking about how he replaced the driveway with granite at the White House. He's talking about his need for his ballroom. He's talking about his all his vanity projects that he's got going on. Well, he has, like I said, there's people smarter than me on this shit, but in my eyes, has bankrupted the fucking country at this point. There's something going on with the bonds market. I don't know enough about bonds markets either, but apparently it's pretty fucking scary. And I'm going to be honest with you, with all that going on, I don't know if we make it to midterms. I don't know if this country's still standing by that time, because this collapse is happening very, very fucking rapidly. And the reason I brought all that up is because all of these things work together for what is going on in our fucking supply chain now. So I wrote down these companies. I don't know who all of them are. I know who some of them are. And you guys might know, but they're all involved in our supply chain. One of them is called Essendant, the Postal Center International, Daimler Trucks. Yeah, I believe that was the one that was closing down something in Portland, causing a bunch of jobs up there. That's Freightliner and shit like that, your semi-trucks. HelloFresh, Carlex Glass, I don't know dick about them. Saddle Creek is a big one. They're a massive distributor. They got warehouses all over the country. And I've been into many Saddle Creeks to move different freight around the country. Well, they're saying layoffs are coming and closures are coming. FedEx, we all know FedEx, and Dillon Logistics, right? And that's on top of everything else that we got going on, my friends. I've still been following this Tyson thing, because this Tyson shit is completely bonkers. It's just out of control. You remember Tyson closing in Lexington, Nebraska, and that was a big deal that is going to like shut down that whole city. But they announced the closures of the different plants in Utah, Washington, and Illinois. And I forgot where the Illinois one was last time, but I think it's over near the Quad Cities area. So somewhat rural, not a whole lot of job options there. And if I remember correctly, that one in Illinois was like 2,500 fucking jobs, if I remember right. But the reason I wanted to bring that up too is because a lot of people that aren't involved in the transportation industry may not realize also is that Tyson has their own fleet of trucks. Also, they use a lot of contractors like Hirschbach, Prime Inc., Western Flyer, things like that. But also they have their own fleet of trucks that's going to be negatively affected by this also, is the point that I'm trying to make. And what kills me about the fucking Tyson thing is they clearly weren't paying attention to fucking Cargill over in Fort Morgan, Colorado. They just ended their strike over there, and the workers didn't get a good deal. I wish they could have held the line, but like they were basically getting starved out over there. I think they got some bullshit like a $1.50 raise over the next 5 years or some shit like that. It's real bad. I wish the Cargill workers could have held the line longer, but part of the reason that Cargill came back to the table with the union and their employees is because during the strike they were trying to transport their products to different plants to have the processing of the beef done, right? And once they realized that diesel was $6 that's when I feel like they immediately backtracked and said they needed to make a fucking deal, right? And what Tyson is doing right now with the 3 plants they're closing, 4 including Lexington, is saying they will just transport to other places. And it's an interesting thing because once they realize, I don't understand why the people at the fucking top of these companies doesn't know what fuel costs right now. That's crazy. But once they close these plants down and realize that the transportation cost is through the fucking roof, I guess I'd get ready to see even more closures. I'd get ready to see even more collapse in the beef industry. And with that being said, all this stuff moved by truck, so you're going to see more collapse in the transportation industry, and the cycle just fucking repeats itself over and over. But I thought this was interesting. I wanted to cover this today because one, I am sick to fucking death of arguing with cousin fucking Trump humping truck drivers that do not know what the fuck they're talking about and do not have a valid argument to anything they're saying. Everything I came out and said was a big possibility when Donald Trump came into office. For the most part, has come true. Massive closures of trucking companies, huge layoffs of employees, truck drivers, independent owner operators going under in huge fucking numbers. All of these things are coming true, right? And a lot of times the Trump humping truckers try to come at me and say, that's not true because I'm at a truck stop right now and there's other trucks here. Really? That's your argument? Listen, kiddo, when I've been in this industry long enough to understand and recognize the fucking patterns of what's going on, and you looking out your windshield and seeing a truck isn't evidence of what's going on. When the Liberation Day tariffs smashed through our fucking industry and brought the supply chain to a fucking halt, which it did, remember, the dock workers were like, what the fuck are we gonna do now? When that happened, these truck stops all over America emptied the fuck out because there was not freight moving around the country. Past tense, that's not what's going on on now, and they frequently try to tell me, oh yeah, show us an empty truck stop. Liberation Day tariffs were shot down by the Supreme Court, you fucking morons. What do you want me to tell you? I don't know how to help you with this, right? But anyways, I guess my whole point with all of this is to keep spreading the fucking truth about what's going on, because that's 7,000 more jobs gone, 21 companies across 15 states with employees out on their fucking asses with nothing to show for it, on top of everything else that we've got going on top of the war we've got going on top of the threat of more trade wars with Canada, on top of the national debt clearing $40 trillion, on top of whatever the fuck is going on with the bond market. I am normally not a doomsday person, my friends. I say we all hang in there and do our best, but my opinion of this country even lasting to the midterms at this point is slipping away very fucking rapidly, because this shit is out of control. With that said, though, keep your head in the game, everybody. We need to show up in the event that the country does still exist in the midterms, and that's when the real work begins. We first neuter Donald Trump, take away his fucking power, then we elect the right people in the upcoming election after that, and my friends, for the rest of our lives, we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and fucking either save this fucking country or come to terms with the fact that it was stolen land and we never deserved it in the fucking first place, and we don't get to keep this son of a bitch. I guess those are our two options at this point. Now that's kind of an interesting way to end the video now, isn't it? Gotta go. Love you guys. Bye now.